The platform was a restless sea of bodies, heels clicking, voices overlapping, the metallic groan of the approaching train rolling in like distant thunder. I stood still, pressed against the cold pillar, the paper bag in my hands growing warm from the curry inside. The smell should have been comforting, but it made my stomach twist. My fingers dug into the handles until the thin paper began to tear. Across the crowd, a man laughed, a sharp, careless sound that cut through the station noise. My head turned before I could stop it. It wasn't him. Of course it wasn't. The red scarf around my neck was almost too bright, a flare of color in the washed-out light. He gave it to me 2 winters ago, saying it made me look like the first day of spring. I touched it now, feeling the coarse wool scratch against my palm, as if to remind me of something I couldn't quite hold on to. The train slid in with a shudder. People surged forward, elbows and shoulders jostling, eyes darting to the doors. I didn't move. My reflection in the glass was faint, warped by the smears of rain, but my eyes looked like someone I used to know. The watch on my wrist ticked too loudly. A hairline crack ran across its face, catching the fluorescent light. It had stopped once, years ago, in the middle of an argument I wish I could forget. I'd gotten it repaired, but I never stopped hearing that silence. Someone brushed past me, muttering, "Sorry," but I barely heard them. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket once, then twice. I didn't check. I thought of his office, 23 minutes away if I caught the next train. I had pictured walking in with the bag, setting it on his desk, watching his face shift from surprise to the small, tired smile he wore just for me. But my chest felt tight now, as though the air in the station had thickened. My grip on the bag loosened. The handles had torn almost completely through, the bottom sagging with the weight. I could almost see it, the office door slightly ajar, the faint hum of his voice and another voice tangled with it. A laugh I knew by muscle memory, though it had been years since I'd heard it this close. My sister's laugh. The scarf felt heavier around my neck. The wool itched more. I closed my eyes. The wind from the departing train swept my hair across my cheek, carrying the faint scent of perfume that didn't belong here. Or maybe it was just a trick of memory, the kind that arrives uninvited and refuses to leave. My hands were trembling now, though not from the cold. I shifted the bag to my other arm, the paper sighing in protest. There are moments, thin, fragile moments, when you know the ground beneath you is about to give way, but you can't yet see the fall. You only feel it in the weight of your own stillness. The crowd thinned. A child dragged a small suitcase past me, its wheels clicking over the cracks in the tile. I watched it disappear into the tunnel's shadow, the sound fading until it was gone. My phone buzzed again. 3 times in quick succession. I finally looked down. The screen lit my face in the dim station light, but I didn't open the messages. My thumb hovered, then retreated. The curry smell was stronger now, almost suffocating. I thought of setting the bag down on the empty bench beside me, just walking away. But instead, I stepped toward the train that would take me to him. And I didn't know yet if I was going there to give or to take. The train lurched forward, pressing me back into the cold metal of the door. My reflection rippled in the window, layered over the blur of the city rushing past. The paper bag rested on my lap now, soft and warm against my thighs, like it was holding its breath with me. The red scarf scratched against my jaw. I wound it tighter, as if I could anchor myself with its coarse wool. My father's voice rose from somewhere far away, from a winter afternoon when I was 10 and the house smelled of kerosene. When something matters, you hold it close, girl. Don't let the wind take it from you. He'd handed me his own scarf back then, gray, frayed at the edges, and told me it would keep me safe. I had believed him. I wondered what he would think of me now, carrying lunch I wasn't sure I'd deliver. A child across the aisle clutched a plastic bag of tangerines, the thin handles stretched white. I remembered walking home from the market with my mother, the weight of sweet potatoes tugging at my small hands, the cold biting through my sleeves. She'd never let me stop to rest. "We don't waste a trip," she'd said. "Not when we've already paid for the journey." The cracked watch ticked, stubborn and steady. It had been his gift, back when he was still my future and not just my husband. The day he gave it to me, I told him I didn't need anything expensive. He laughed and said, "It's not the price, it's so you'll always know when I'm late." I hadn't understood the layers in that joke then. Outside the window, an older man on the platform was hugging a woman with a bouquet pressed awkwardly between them. The flowers bent, petals brushing her cheek. She was laughing, eyes crinkled in that way people do when they're not afraid of being watched. I looked down. My hands were pale against the paper bag, the veins faintly blue. Across from me, a man in a dark coat sat with his hands folded on his knee. His gaze wasn't direct, but I felt it, measured, unblinking, like someone reading words in a language they half remembered. When our eyes met briefly, he didn't look away. He simply tilted his head, the faintest question in his expression, before returning his gaze to the floor. I swallowed hard. My phone vibrated again in my pocket, but I didn't move to take it out. The train slowed for the next station. People shuffled past, their bags bumping my knees. I caught glimpses of reunions, arms thrown over shoulders, bags taken from tired hands. I sat still. No one was waiting for me at any platform. My father's words returned, quieter this time. "Don't let the wind take it from you." But I didn't know anymore if it meant love, dignity, or the truth. The man in the dark coat stood when the doors opened. He hesitated a beat too long before stepping out, as though expecting me to follow. But I stayed seated, watching the red scarf's end flutter in the draft. Only when the doors closed again did I realize I'd been holding my breath. The next station was mine. I rose slowly, the bag's weight awkward now, like it was filled with something heavier than food. The train slid into the station, brakes screaming. I stepped onto the platform. My phone buzzed once more. This time, I pulled it out. One unread message lit the screen. "Don't come here." The scarf tightened around my throat as I stood frozen, the crowd moving around me. Somewhere ahead, the office was only a short walk away. But my feet didn't move. The message burned against my palm. "Don't come here." I turned the phone over, pressing the cool glass to my cheek. Around me, the platform pulsed with movement, heels clacking, bags rustling, voices weaving in and out like threads in a fabric I didn't belong to. Above, the sky had shifted, bruising with slow-moving clouds. I should have left. Walked away, taken the next train in the opposite direction. But my legs carried me toward the exit stairs, slow, as if the ground beneath me had its own quiet pull. Halfway up, I saw him again, the man from the train. He was leaning against the railing, head slightly bent, thumb brushing the edge of something in his hand. When I drew closer, I saw it was a photograph, worn at the corners, the crease lines softened from years of folding and unfolding. He slipped it back into his wallet before I could see the face. His shoes were scuffed at the toes, the leather cracked in places that spoke of miles walked without enough rest. His coat, though neat, bore a missing button near the cuff. He looked like someone who had once owned more than he did now. When our eyes met, there was no surprise, just a faint recognition, as if he'd been expecting me. "You didn't get off," he said, his voice low but clear over the noise of the station. I gripped the paper bag tighter. "Neither did you." The corner of his mouth twitched, not quite a smile. "Some places, you're not sure if you're ready to arrive." A drop of rain landed on my hand. Then another. Within seconds, the sky opened, and the air turned metallic with the smell of wet concrete. People rushed past, shielding themselves with bags, newspapers, even their arms. He didn't move. Neither did I. The scarf clung to my neck now, damp and heavy. My father's voice rose again, "Don't let the wind take it from you." But the wind was already here, sliding cold fingers through my hair. "Is it someone waiting for you?" he asked, his gaze flicking to the bag in my arms. "Was." The word came before I could stop it. He nodded once, as though he understood more than I'd said. His eyes were steady, but there was something else there, a flicker of loss, not fresh, but not healed either. Lightning flashed far off, a thin silver vein in the darkening clouds. I found myself wanting to ask about the photograph, about the missing button, about whether he, too, had ever stood in the rain wondering if walking forward would shatter him or save him. But I said nothing. The street outside the station glistened, rain pooling in shallow depressions, neon signs smearing across the water's surface. I could see the block that led to his office. It was only a few minutes away. "You'll get soaked," the man said quietly. "So will you," I replied. For a moment, we just stood there, water dripping from the edge of the railing between us. His hand brushed the pocket where he'd tucked the photo, and I felt a strange echo in my own chest, like he was holding the same weight I was, only in a different shape. The rain softened, but the air held that charged stillness before another downpour. Somewhere, thunder rolled. I stepped down onto the wet pavement. My reflection followed me in each puddle, warped, doubled, disappearing with each step. The man's footsteps came a few beats later, steady and deliberate, though he didn't close the distance between us. When I reached the corner, I hesitated. The office was straight ahead. The train station was just behind me. I turned slightly, expecting him to be gone. But he was there, standing under the awning of a closed shop, watching. Not impatient. Not inviting. Just there. The rain began again, harder this time, blurring the streetlights into soft halos. I didn't know if I was moving toward the truth, or if I was already in the middle of it. Rainwater seeped into my shoes, each step sounding like the slow squeeze of a sponge. My scarf clung like wet rope, heavy, dragging my shoulders down. The street narrowed ahead, the familiar turn toward his office glowing faintly beneath a flickering street lamp. I slowed, the sound of my own breathing louder than the traffic. I could walk away now. Take the next bus home, heat the curry for myself, pretend this day never happened. My hand tightened on the bag, but my feet, traitorous, kept me moving forward. Through the glass awning of a nearby cafe, people sipped coffee, steam blurring their faces. A man inside glanced up, eyes lingering on my soaked clothes and the sagging paper bag. He didn't look away fast enough. I knew that gaze, curiosity wrapped in quiet judgment, the same look I'd seen in grocery store aisles when I paid with crumpled bills. Some people carry more than just bags, they carry silence. A voice, low, careful, cut through the rain behind me. "You're still here." I turned. He was there again, the man from the train, water dripping from his hair, one hand in his coat pocket. His shoes were darker now, leather swollen with rain. "You followed me," I said. "Not exactly." His eyes dropped to the bag in my arms. "I just didn't want you to disappear without knowing someone saw you." I didn't ask what he meant. For a moment, the rain thinned to a mist, the world holding its breath. Then he reached into his coat and pulled something out, my scarf's end, red against his wet palm. "No, not mine." The wool was the same coarse weave, the same deep red, but frayed almost to threads. "I had one once," he said, voice softer now. "Someone gave it to me the day they left." The scarf in my own grip felt suddenly heavier, as if it were looking back at me. Lightning flashed again, and for a heartbeat I saw us as reflections in the shopfront window, two blurred shapes, colors bleeding into one another, neither fully here nor gone. "You should go inside," he said. I looked past him, toward the office building's dark windows. The light in the top corner flickered, the same one I used to watch when I waited for him to finish work. I could almost see them there, in the glow, my sister's laugh pressing against the glass. A woman passed by with an umbrella, her mouth tightening as she glanced between us. She didn't slow down, but her eyes said enough. "What are you doing standing there? Why haven't you moved on?" I almost turned away then. My knees bent, my body ready to pivot toward the bus stop. But I stopped. My chest ached with it. "One last look," I whispered, not to him, not even to myself, but to the wet air between us. The bag's handles finally gave way, the bottom tearing open. The curry container hit the pavement, the lid popping off, golden sauce bleeding into the cracks in the sidewalk. Steam rose briefly before the rain took it. We both stared at it. He didn't bend to help. Neither did I. The smell was sharp and warm against the cold night. Somewhere behind the glass of the office building, a shadow moved. It might have been nothing, a cleaner, the swing of a curtain, but my throat tightened all the same. The man's eyes followed mine, then came back to rest on my face. "You don't have to go up there," he said. "And if I do?" His shoulders rose, fell. "Then you're ready to know." The rain returned in full, drowning out everything else. I stood there, dripping, the red scarf like a wound across my chest, the street lamp flickering, the office glowing faint in the distance. Neither of us moved. The rain blurred the glass doors of the office building, turning the world inside into a shifting watercolor. My scarf clung to me like a bruise, heavy with the cold. The man was still at my side, though we hadn't spoken since the curry spilled. His presence felt less like company and more like a shadow, something you can't shake even if you wanted to. I stepped toward the entrance. He didn't follow, but his voice carried through the rain. "You applied here, didn't you?" I froze. My head turned before I could stop it. "How do you?" His gaze was steady. "Because it's mine." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard him. Then he pulled the photograph from his pocket, not the one I'd only half seen before, but another. This one was clearer despite its age, a little girl, no more than 8, wearing the same red scarf I had wrapped around my neck. Her hair was caught in the wind, eyes half laughing, half serious. My breath caught. "She, my daughter," he said. "She's gone." The scarf on my shoulders felt like it had doubled in weight. Rainwater slid down the back of my neck. "She gave it to me the day they left," he added, voice quieter now, "and I never got it back." "Not really." "The day they left." The words landed like stones in water, ripples spreading outward into places I didn't want them to go. My father's voice rose in the back of my mind, "Don't let the wind take it from you," but now it sounded different, less like a warning and more like a plea. "You were going to work here," he continued, "before you saw whatever it is you think you saw tonight." The office light in the top corner flickered again, like it was winking at me. Or warning me. I swallowed hard. "You don't know what I saw." "No," he said. "But I know this. Some people carry more than just bags. They carry silence. And silence can crush you if you hold it too long." The words hit like an echo from earlier, only this time they were aimed at me, sharp and deliberate. I looked at the photo again. The scarf in the girl's hair, the slight tilt of her chin, it was the same tilt I'd seen in my own reflection on the train window earlier. My stomach tightened. "I'm not here for your company," I said. His lips curved not in amusement, but in something closer to sadness. "No, but you're here for something that will cost you more than you think." The rain began to ease, but the air was thick, charged. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. Behind the glass doors, the lobby glowed warm, almost inviting. The security guard inside glanced up, eyes sweeping over me before flicking toward the man. His brow furrowed recognition, but also judgment. That same quiet judgment I'd seen in the cafe earlier. I realized then, whatever I chose next, there was no pretending afterward. No folding the day neatly away like it had never happened. The man stepped closer, close enough for the scent of rain and faint tobacco to reach me. "If you walk in there, you can't unsee what you're going to see. You can't unknow it. And you can't go back to before. A point of no return." The scarf's wet edge brushed my lips as I breathed in. It tasted of wool, of cold, of something older than both of us. I pushed the glass door open. The warm air inside slid over my skin like another hand, coaxing me forward. My shoes squeaked against the marble floor as I crossed into the lobby. The guard shifted in his seat, eyes following me with a question. He didn't speak. At the far end of the hall, an elevator waited, doors open, light spilling out in a pale, steady glow. I stepped in. The man did not follow. As the doors closed, my phone buzzed once more. I didn't look at it. When they opened again, I was standing in front of the office door. And I knew whatever was on the other side would change everything. The hallway outside his office was too quiet, the kind of quiet that hummed in your bones. The carpet muffled my footsteps, but my heart was loud enough to fill the space. The red scarf clung to my throat like it knew the air ahead would be different. My fingers brushed the cracked watch. Its ticking felt like it was keeping time for more than just me. The office door was slightly ajar. Through the gap, I saw them. My sister's hair, loose around her shoulders, the familiar way she tilted her head when she was listening intently. His back to me, leaning close. They weren't touching, not quite, but the air between them was the kind you can't walk into without changing its temperature. I pushed the door open. They both turned. My sister's smile faltered, not from guilt, but from calculation. His eyes, my husband's eyes, were harder to read. "You came," he said, like I'd kept him waiting. The paper bag was gone now, curry soaking some street miles behind me. I had nothing to offer but my hands, damp and empty. My sister was the first to move. "She shouldn't be here." But he didn't look at her when he spoke next. "Do you know who owns this company?" I didn't answer. He stepped forward, closing the distance, until I could smell the faint citrus of his aftershave under the rain. "You met him tonight. Outside." It took a moment for the words to find their meaning. The man from the train. The photograph. The missing button. My husband's voice was steady. "He's not just an owner. He's my father." The room tilted. My sister's gaze slid to me, sharp and unblinking. "She didn't know?" "No," he said. Then, to me, "He told me you wore her scarf." I looked down. The red wool was heavy with rain and other people's memories. Not mine. Not anymore. "He wants me to keep you close," my husband said. "Not because he thinks we're meant to be, but because," his eyes searched mine, "because you remind him of someone he lost." The little girl in the photo. The tilt of her chin. My reflection in the train window. The weight of it pressed into my chest until breathing felt optional. My sister crossed her arms. "So that's it? She gets the job because she looks like a ghost." His jaw tightened. "She gets the job because I said so." Something in me cracked, not loud, but deep, like ice giving way underfoot. I reached up and unwound the scarf, the wool dragging against my skin. It felt wrong to keep it now, knowing it was never really mine. I set it on his desk, between us. "I'm not her," I said. "And I'm not staying because of her." He didn't move to take the scarf, but I could see the shift in his face, the flicker of something that might have been disappointment or relief. My sister's smirk was small but sharp. "Then walk away." The rain outside was louder now, hammering against the glass. My fingers brushed the cracked watch one last time. The ticking had become almost unbearable. I unclasped it, set it beside the scarf. Two weights I no longer wanted to carry. "I'll leave the silence to you," I said quietly. Then I turned and walked out. The hallway felt longer this time, but lighter. Each step carried more air than the last. When I reached the lobby, the man from the train was there, standing near the glass doors. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. His eyes dropped briefly to my empty hands, then rose again to meet mine. We stood like that for a moment, no bags, no scarf, no watch. Just rain between us and the street beyond. The platform from this morning came back to me, the noise, the crowd, the stillness inside me. Only now, I was the one moving through it, not the one pressed against a pillar, waiting. I stepped past him into the rain. It soaked through me, but it didn't feel heavy anymore. Somewhere behind me, the scarf and the watch lay together, red against the dark wood, ticking against silence.